Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Mirror TV, Week 6 of the high school football season. So that means we've crossed the halfway point. I guess I am subbing again for Neil Rudell. My name is Scott Franco. I'm joined, as always, by Mike Boytim, our high school football beat writer. We're going to talk about a couple of games here and a couple of teams on our list. First game we're going to look at this week is Bishop Guilfoyle at Penn Cambria. I believe both teams have the same record, 3-2, or is BG 4-1?
Yeah, BG's 4-1.
BG's 4-1. Penn Cambria's kind of come back to the pack. They started out 3-0. They are now 3-2. They're playing each other this week. Penn Cambria is hosting the game. BG won last year pretty easily. I think it was something like they were up 35-0 at halftime, and then they put all their reserves in. Mike wants to talk a little bit about one of the guys that's kind of helped BG get back on track after they got kind of shut out by Westmont Hilltop. I think it was like 30-0.
Well, BG's been able to throw the ball this year, but you know, if they're going to have a long run and meet the goals they want to do, they're going to have a running game. And Keegan Myrick just came back, and he got over 100 yards rushing last week, and that was the first time that BG's had a 100-yard rusher in a game this year.
Which is hard to believe, too.
And he's going to have to get going, and you know, that's going to be a key on how he can develop throughout the rest of the year and how good BG can be.
And he's only a 10th grader, right?
Yeah, and
wow.
Penn Cambria, you know, there's going to be a story in Friday's paper previewing this game by John Hartsock. Your brother, John Franco, he said that the kids are feeling confident now and they've been competitive in every game. And he said that's what their key is this year. And that's what they're hoping to be on Friday, competitive with BG.
And I saw them, I went to see them for the first time on Saturday against Westmont Hilltop. They were winning right before halftime. They were up 7-3. They gave up a late touchdown pass. It was the only pass Westmont Hilltop threw the whole game. And they ended up losing 24-7. But Penn Cambria, opening drive, down the field. But Westmont Hilltop just grounded out. They had 3 different running backs. So if BG has to pass to win this game, I don't know, because like I said, they didn't pass against Penn Cambria all but one play. I thought the way to beat Penn Cambria was running the ball, but we'll see. After that, we want to talk a little bit of Altoona and Hollidaysburg, both coming off really close losses. Altoona's was in overtime at CDE's. Hollidaysburg game I covered in Maryland against a team, Fort Hill, a high-powered offense that scored a ton of points in some of their other games. They won 20-7, but they had only scored 2 field goals on offense. They had 2 pick sixes for touchdowns. Altoona right down the wire. What are some of the positives you think Altoona can take from this?
Well, Altoona, you know, had a great catch. First of all, I want to point this out. I saw the video. Connor Adams caught a ball with one hand out of the air.
He Odell'd it.
And went 37 yards for a touchdown. And when you have playmakers like that, you can compete in these games and you can win them. And that's got to be a big lift for Altoona to go on the road, their first road game in the Mid-Penn, and they could have won. They had shots to win at the end of the game, and that's something that didn't always happen when they played in the Whippeal. They didn't really have a chance in the fourth quarter in many of those games. So they got to take something positive away from that, I would believe, going into this week against Carlisle.
And Carlisle is 3-1. They're coming off the loss.
They're 3-2.
3-2. Okay. And the Hollidaysburg game too. I've covered many of the Hollidaysburg Fort Hill games. Fort Hill has crushed them all the time, like 55 points, 40-something points. Now, down there, Fort Hill is like they've been to the last 6 state championships in their class level. Now, it's different than Pennsylvania, not as many schools, but they've been to the last 6 and they've won 5 of them. And, I mean, their fans down there and their people up in the press box were stunned. They couldn't believe Hollidaysburg was stopping them when they had a bend but don't break defense. But Hollidaysburg got nothing from its offense. What they can take from it in their game this week against McDowell is if they can play that kind of defense again this week and just get half of that offensive effort that they got last, they might be in the game. But I guess that's why we'll play them on Friday night. The other thing we want to talk about today, Mike wants to talk a little bit about Claysburg-Kimmel, which I didn't even realize till Mike pointed out. 4-1, top 4 or 5 right now in the district.
If the playoffs started today, they'd be the number 3 seed. And Claysburg, you know, they haven't had a lot of success over the past decade or so, but if you go back to last year, they've won 8 of their last 10 regular season games. They won a playoff game last year, and you know, they play at Mount Union this week. Mount Union's 0-5. They've Claysburg's beaten them the last 2 years. If they can stay on track, you know, Claysburg can get a top seed in the district and be in line for either a bye or another home playoff game this year under new coach Matt Bilchek.
And what's nice about that is that they had success under Dan Ford, and then Dan left, and now they bought into this Matt Bilchek system here, and I mean, he's got them off to a nice start there. So that would be good for Claysburg because, you know, the different sports they have, football hasn't been one of the ones where they can really, you know, ring a bell on and say, hey, look, we're great at this. But now this year, hey, they're making some noise, and good for them. The last game we want to talk about before we go, maybe it's a playoff preview. We don't want to jinx it, but Tyrone's at Bald Eagle area this week. Tyrone is 4-1. Bald Eagle is 5-0. That's 4A or 3A?
That's 3A, and right now they're the top 2 seeds in 3A. And this is the second straight week that Tyrone's playing at Bald Eagle area. They played Bellefonte there last week, so that's a little strange. But Tyrone was leading that game at halftime against Bellefonte, and they kind of petered out a little bit and ran out of gas. And that's kind of what Bald Eagle's hoping to do to Tyrone. They run a no-huddle offense, and Tyrone runs all of their offense out of the shotgun. So
this game could go real fast.
Jason Wilson thinks that they can win a high-scoring game or a defensive game. He'd prefer the defensive game, but with Tyrone's line, they have a chance to win any game they play.
And Tyrone's coming off the loss. Bald Eagle's coming off. I think they beat up big on Central.
They beat up Central. They were losing that game at halftime, and then came out in the second half and just really pulled away from them.
And everybody knows about the Tyrone quarterback, Denver Light. But yeah, we have a note here. We have our cheat sheet. Bald Eagle has a quarterback that's pretty good himself too.
Yeah, Jaden Jones. He is in his second year as a starter. Last year he had a lot of turnovers. This year he's already thrown 18 touchdown passes in just 5 games.
And you got to sit there and think. I'm of the mindset Bald Eagle's taken such a pasting over the years, the last couple of years, that they've got to be relishing the fact that they're 5-0. And I can't help but think if they can lay it on somebody that they are going to. But that's my thinking. That wraps up week 6 here of Mirror TV's high school football preview. Join us again next week. Don't know if Neil Riddell will be back. We'll have to talk to his agent to see if he wants to do this anymore. But for Mike Boytim, I'm Scott Franco. Thanks for watching us this week.